Zion Valley welcomes its first animal addition to the zoo with this king of the mountains, the bighorn sheep. Welcome to Zion. Hi guys, Beaver here with Beaver-Games. Welcome to the dam. Welcome back everyone. I'm sorry it's been a while since I uploaded the first Zion video. Time's really slipped away from me for a number of reasons. One is that I've not been in Planet Zoo as much recently. I've been playing other games instead. Another reason, and probably the biggest reason, is that I knew with this build I was going to have to create a big mountain, like really big, and I'm not sure whether it was a feeling of being intimidated or just a lack of inspiration or motivation, or a combination of all of them. I just really struggled to get this build started. I said in the first episode that this park will be inspired in part by the Garden of the Gods in Colorado Springs. In the centre of the garden there's a huge rock that I knew I always wanted to reimagine in this park. These pictures on screen now are from the Garden of the Gods website, and like the real life garden, the rock in Zion Valley was going to be the centerpiece of the whole zoo, so I had to get it right. And nothing was working. I went back and forth over a couple of weeks trying to figure out how I was going to create it. I started off creating a flat wall out of the rocks. I didn't really like this look, and so I decided to try using the terrain tools. I struggle with the terrain tools in Planet Zoo in general, and didn't really want to create the whole thing out of terrain anyway, because the rock texture just isn't the look I was going for. It doesn't have the red tone that I really envision in this park, so I tried using a mix of terrain and rocks. And I didn't like that look either. I didn't like how the rocks felt when aligned to the surface and placed into the terrain. I kept telling myself to trust the process, but in this case, the process didn't work. You can see me trying out how it would look if I layered the different rocks, first vertically and then horizontally. I definitely preferred this method, but one, I was really worried about the piece count, and two, it still didn't look exactly like the real life rock. The rock in Colorado Springs looks like it's got several vertical layers, like a sliced loaf of bread, if you want to think of it like that, rather than horizontal layers like a Big Mac. Bread analogies aside, let's continue. Quite late on into this process, I thought about how 3D models were printed, layer by layer, and so I went back to my original idea of creating a single layer of flat rock, starting with the spine of the mountain, and then layering it outwards and downwards, creating the body as I continued. My hope that was, with enough layers, as I continued building out, it would look 3D enough to be realistic. Slowly but surely, the mountain began to take shape. I honestly think that the more was added to the mountain, and the more it fleshed out, the better it looked. Sometimes in this game, you've just got to keep the vision in mind and just keep building. I just want to take a minute to acknowledge the big grassy area in the middle of my park now. I began building this off camera as a little bit of an experiment. I created it fairly quickly, and by the time I realised I liked it, I'd built far too much to simply delete it and just make it again for a recording. There'll be loads more times when I build something like this in the zoo, so I'll be sure to record some of that in a future episode. Let's get back to building the mountain though, and talk about the star of this episode, the bighorn sheep. Both Garden of the Gods and Zion National Park, the two parks that inspired the zoo, have populations of bighorn sheep. A quick Google search told me that the Garden of the Gods has approximately 150 sheep, and that Zion National Park has over 800. Bighorn sheep have a number of different subspecies. The Rocky Mountain bighorn sheep are in the Garden of the Gods, whilst the desert bighorn sheep are in Zion National Park. The bighorn sheep is the state animal of Colorado, and February 15th is Bighorn Sheep Day at the Garden of the Gods. In Zion National Park, according to their website, when visiting, you are most likely able to see the bighorn sheep between the Zion Mount Carmel tunnel and the east entrance. Moving on to the habitat itself now. This habitat came together in about an hour and a half or so. I started marking the area where I wanted the barriers to be along the path by adding these plaster pieces to the floor. These will separate the custom fence and the chain link barrier. I actually changed the plaster pieces for the limestone plinth pieces towards the end. Then I began creating my custom fence barrier. I use this fence from the entrance and I add some mesh to it. Then I twist the top beam to make it slightly different from the entrance fence. I start adding rocks to the habitat, including the Goat Mountain enrichment item, and I'm able to create these paths and walkways between the rocks that I intend for the sheep to use. The right side of this habitat, as we look at it, was a lot easier to rock up than the left. As I was making this habitat, I kept referring to the left side as a dry ski slope, as it just looked like a slope of grass. I added some rocks here and there, and it began to look better. Sometimes trusting the process does work. Once I start to add the foliage, this build really starts coming to life. I'm going to use a lot of the same foliage from the grassy bit in the middle: drin grass, goldenrods, saltwort bushes, blue stem grass, creosote, cacti, olive trees, joshua trees, and a few others. I think realistically the bighorn sheep would eat a lot of this foliage out in the wild, but I really didn't want to have barren habitats void of any foliage. So I've kept the walkways where the sheep are more likely to walk, free of overgrown vegetation, but kept the foliage to the sides of the habitat and along the edges of the rock. With that, we're nearly at the end. If you've enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate if you hit that like button down below, comment to let me know you've had a good time, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future content. Also, if you know someone else who would like this video, please share this with them as well. It's nearly time for the cinematics now. I hope you enjoy those. For now though, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.
Climbing veins and crimson stone, hooves crack sharp on weathered bone. Bighorn king where no man roams, crowned by storms and time alone. King of the mountain, rise and stand, hold the throne carved by this land. Red desert winds your loyal band, forever dust in hand. Shadows stretch on canyon wall, silent watch through twilight sprawl, unyielding crown through it all. Every fall the echoes call. King of the mountain, rise and stand, hold the throne carved by this land. Red desert winds your loyal band, reign forever dust in hand, reign forever dust.